आईने प्रभु माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाद्य श्री रूपानुगवीर गौर शक्ति करुणाय विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगविरुद्ध अपसिद्धांत धांत हारिणे नमो गौर किशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलंबर सांभवे पदाम्बुजाय ते नमो नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंदाय गौर शक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगवराय गौराविर्भाव भूमेस्तं निर्देष्टा सज्जनो प्रियो वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः जयतां सुरतो पंगुर मम मंदमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्बुजो राधा मदन मोहन दिव्याद वृंदारण्य कल्पद्रुमाद श्रीमाद रत्नगार सिंहासनस्थो पृष्ठली विषेवमान स्मरामि श्रीमान रासरसारंभे वंशीभट ततस्थित दर्शन शनि गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तुना तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति पदे चक्रवर्ती नमो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Anavad Pranam, all Guru Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for giving us your time and the virtual association. You are a man of no introduction needed for the entire congregation. They have seen you many times, and people follow you, and you also guide a lot of us in path of bhakti. And you have picked a wonderful topic: how bhakti can help today everyone to feel compassionate to all the human beings, all the creatures, the whole entire universe. So thank you so much once again. Please take us from here.
Thank you. I appreciate Arita Prabhu's introducing this idea of compassion in bhakti tradition. Very nice. So we'll just chant one time Jai Radha Madhava together. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha
Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Nitai Gaur Nataraj, Prabhu Nitai Gaur Nataraj, Nitai Gaur Nataraj, Nitai Gaur Nataraj.
Nitai Gaura Nataraj, Nitai Gaura Nataraj, Nitai Gaura Nataraj, Nitai Gaura Nataraj.
Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe.
Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe.
Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Prabhupada, 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 Jaya, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Gaur Pramanande, Hari
Hari Hari Bol.
Jnanatimirandasya Jnanjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Vanchakalpataruvesya Kripa Sindhuvaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Binda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Ram. Thank you, Prabhus and mothers. First of all, I'm very grateful to be here with all of you, with at least through the virtual meeting. And this is a spiritual meeting, so this is a very superior to the physical or mental or intellectual. It is spiritual. So obviously it is best, whether it's a virtual or physical level or mental level, as long spiritual association which affect and impact our consciousness. So this is very important. So I'm also very grateful to Srila Prabhupada that he has created this beautiful society of sadhus, prabhus and mothers, that who has the same interest aligned with Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Chaitamrita. So by the mercy of Prabhupada that we have this beautiful association of sadhus. Doesn't matter where we are, some or other, we have some inner nourishment as a soul servant of Krishna. Also, I am appreciating Aritra Prabhu, Rashavigraha Prabhu, Daipayan Prabhu, and mothers and other Prabhus for taking your valuable time into considering to hear and speak what Krishna has to say. That shows that you are above the Brahmanas. We had one discussion one time, why Brahmanas are the superior in the society. Because Brahmanas pays attention what Krishna says in the Shastra. That's the only main reason. Brahma janati iti sha Brahmana. So those who are the those souls that interested to hear what Mahaprabhu has to say, they are greater. Because why they are greater than Brahmana? Because Brahmana only knows Brahman, but Prabhupada said one who knows and act to serve the Brahman, he is Vaishnava. So that's the difference. So Vaishnava is higher in that sense, as Prabhupada mentioned. So the discussion today is about compassion, and in Sanskrit or Bengali, we call Mahaprabhu's language or Brajavasa, Daya, Kripa, all kinds of words are there. Generally, compassion in America, people are familiar. They think it's kind of you be kind to everyone when you meet. But it's not easy. It's fighting a hard battle to be kind to everyone. You know, it's easy to say or agree or appreciate. I mean, to be honestly, it is not too difficult to appreciate those who agree with us, isn't it? But it's more difficult to appreciate those who disagree with us. And it's worse, or you can say most difficult to appreciate those who disagree, who we know are wrong. But Mahaprabhu gave a solution. Don't reduce people to their opinion, even if they are wrong. Srila Prabhupada told this to Shamsundar Prabhu in Bombay, the 6 kind of perception. And he says, see their multidimensionality beyond their opinion and appreciate whatever is good in them. He said, that's Vaishnavism. So we are following that path. Compassion is something like care, kindness, especially the tendency to think about the needs and goods for others. Compassion is a state of mind, you can say. state of emotion, kindness, mercy towards other people. And we show compassion by food distribution, book distribution, charity, voluntary for others' needs, spending time with others. Right now we are doing, conversing amongst ourselves, glorifying the Lord. Material sense compassion means you spend time with others who is hurting in some way. Compassion motivates us to do something practical, isn't it? To offer some kind of supports. Of course, compassion is not like a romantic love, but loving kindness towards others. Not empathy other means put ourselves in somebody's shoes, feel what they are feeling, which Mahaprabhu did with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So people love this in this, especially in America, when you say these three things: compassion, love, empathy. People love this. It's like a something to catch people's attention. But what mistake I found, I was thinking yesterday while I was on another class, that because Aritra Prabhu made a very impact in his text, just one sentence. But it is in application in American society, they think compassion generally for dependents, like pets, dogs, compassion for children who are sick or poor, poverty stricken. You'll see all the news ad, Times Magazine, everything. Also, nowadays they promote the compassion through leadership. Those who are good leader, whether political leader or whatever social leader, if their compassion to the citizens' need, then they appreciate. But then yesterday evening we had a class in North Carolina, and where Maharaj, Bir Krishna Maharaj, he was emphasizing, is it possible to see anybody is as compassionate as Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya? Actually, if you thoroughly analyze each pastime, Krishna's activities, you will see that nobody can even come close to the compassion that Lord Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed. There's a famous verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you can put it up, it's in 10. Madhya-lila 10.117. That verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Gambhira is to grab the neck of Sarup Damodar, and he would reveal to them, to reveal to him what is the purpose he's coming. And after he hears Mahaprabhu, he would come back to his room and he would write. So that's why he wrote this. Hela udanita khedaya vishadaya pranomila tamodaya. Every line there is a daya, 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 you will find. Like 12 places daya, just one verse. Hela udanita khedaya vishadaya pranomila tamodaya. Sammak shastra vibadaya rasadaya chitta arpita unmadaya. Sashat bhakti vinodaya, samadaya marjadaya, madhurja marjadaya, Sri Chaitanya daya, tabadaya bhuyat amanda udaya. Srila Prabhupada's translation on that verse, let me look at it. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation. By your mercy, everything is made pure and blissful. It awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasure by your auspicious mercy. Quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. Your auspicious mercy causes the heart to jubilate by pouring forth transcendental mellows. Your mercy always stimulates devotional service, which is full of joy. You are always glorifying the conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. So this is a prayers of Srila Prabhupada. Oh, you have it there. This is the prayers of Swarup Damodar to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Srila Prabhupada gave a purport also. That this importance, I'm going to read from the screen, let's see. This important verse, Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.10, specifically describe the Lord's causeless mercy. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the most magnanimous personality of Godhead, distribute his causeless mercy in three ways to the conditioned soul. Every living entity is morose in the material world because he's always in want. Now, if you look at the purport, Prabhupada gives an indication that actually what we think of materially, what mercy or compassion is little different than spiritual compassion. Every living entity is morose in the material world because he is always in want. He undergoes a great struggle for existence and tries to minimize his miserable condition by squeezing the utmost pleasure out of this world. But the living entity is never successful in this endeavor. While in a miserable condition, a person sometimes seeks the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But this is very difficult for materialistic people to obtain. However, when one becomes Krishna conscious by the grace of the Lord, the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord expands. In this way, materialist may gain freedom from his miseries. Actually, his mind is cleansed by his transcendental connection with the lotus feet of the Lord. At such a time, one is enlightened by the loving service of the Lord. There are many different kinds of scriptures, and by reading them, one often becomes puzzled. But when one receives the mercy of the Lord, his confusion is mitigated. Not only are scriptural disparities resolved, but a kind of transcendental bliss is awakened. In this way, one is fully satisfied. The transcendental loving service of the Lord constantly engages the conditioned soul in serving the Lord's lotus feet. Through such fortunate engagements, one's transcendental love for Krishna is increased. One's position is thus completely purified. One is filled with transcendental bliss, accompanied by the soul's jubilation. Thus, the transcendental causeless mercy of the Lord Krishna is manifest in the heart of the accompanies. Material desires also vanishes. By the grace of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position. Then, transcendental mellows of the spiritual world are manifest in him. One's devotional service then becomes firm, and one engages in the Lord's transcendental loving service with great determination. All these combine to fully awaken the devotee's heart with love of Krishna. In the beginning, a conditioned soul is bereft of Krishna consciousness and is always morose in his material activities. Later, by associating with a pure devotee, one becomes inquisitive to know the absolute truth. In this way, one begins to engage in transcendental service of the Lord. Next, by the Lord's grace, all misconceptions are vanquished and the heart is cleansed of all material dirt. It is only then that the pleasure of transcendental bliss is awakened. By the Lord's mercy, one is completely convinced of the value of devotional service. When one can see the pastimes of the Lord, when one can see the pastimes of the Lord everywhere, he is firmly situated in transcendental bliss. Such a devotee is relieved of all kinds of material desires, and he preaches the glories of the Lord all over the world. This Krishna conscious activity separates him from material activity, and the desire for liberation. For every step, the devotee feels himself connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although such a devotee may sometimes be involved in household life, he is untouched by material existence due to constant engagement in devotional service. Thus, everyone is advised to take shelter of devotional service to become happy and liberated. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So it's interesting how Swarup Damodar Prabhu has demonstrated Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's compassion to be seen from his angle, how he would see. He was the eternal companion, and with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was in Jagannath Puri. Before he came to Jagannath Puri, we don't know so much about him. Purushottam Bhatta, he was in Navadvip, but there is not so much written. But what he has seen, he is expressing this here. In 4th canto, there is a famous verse. It says that Krishna is eternally most compassionate person, and he wants all his devotees, those who are conditional, to act on that platform. Now, is the compassion, mercy, kindness, care, is a component or it is a byproduct of bhakti? This question may raise. Well, in our life, we see it's both. When more we advance, our compassionate nature awakens automatically in our heart. But we also learn from the senior devotees how they are acting, and we adapt it. So it's both. There's a famous verse that spoken that dayaya sarva bhuteshu, dayaya sarva bhuteshu santushta jena kenava sarvendriya upasantaya tushyanti aso janardana. That if you can do these three things, you become merciful to all the living entity. It's an inner consciousness, not only activities outwards. And then be satisfied with whatever you have in your life at this time. And control your senses. Control, the word control, I always thought control means you endeavor to restrain. No, control means actually you focus on Krishna. Then your senses are controlled. If you're not focusing on Krishna consciousness, you're trying to restrain, it is not really control means. It won't last, in other words. It will be like artificially trying to close the eye in front of a murderer and say, you don't exist. There's a funny joke they make that when murderer came, the one person, he closed his eye, he said, I don't believe you exist. And the murderer was laughing. It's like, how is possible you don't believe? I'm here to kill you. So death is coming in front of us and we deny it, like that. So Krishna says, control your senses mean focus on me. And if you do these three things, what will happen? Tushyanti asu janardana. Krishna will be happy with you and you can literally get Krishna's mercy right then and there. If you just do these three things. Just be more compassionate to others and retain your senses or focus your senses to Krishna, towards Krishna consciousness, and what is that? Santusta, no. Daya sarva bhuteshu, some or other be happy with whatever you have in life. Do not complain or regret or hankar like, oh, I'm suffering, oh, I don't have this, no, just be satisfied, whatever you have. It's not that Krishna doesn't know what you have. They say grateful attitude means when you count what you have. And material greed means you count what you don't have. In other words, Krishna is trying to tell us that we should be grateful. So my question to the audience also, few example Prabhupada asked. When this Mataji, one professor, Indian professor, she challenged to Srila Prabhupada, say, Swamiji, you are making people dance, chant on the street, distribute books, distribute food. But what about the poor and suffering and old people, they are struggling? You are not doing real compassion and merciful work. That was very nice topics where Prabhupada, this is in Bhubaneswar, 1977, January 21. You can look at it better. It's very beautiful. Prabhupada says that, why don't you look what we do? And then I'm paraphrasing, he explained that what is material compassion is not actually really compassion. And those days in Bhubaneswar area, there was a lot of boils. Boils is a kind of a disease that your skin get puffs and you get pus, if you are not familiar what boils is. So then Prabhupada noticed that in the audience, some man has. He said, just like when people get boils. Now, do you know what happens if you blow air or you fan that boil? The man who got boil, he feels good. He feels, oh, thank you, thank you. But doctors will never do this. Doctor will say, do not blow air, do not fan this boil, because you making WBC, white blood corpuscles, get defeated. Means the disease is increasing inside by blowing air. But the patient who has it, he feels good, like, oh, it's like cooling. But disease inside is growing. So what doctor will do, doctor will take the patient, he will not blow air, he will cut it off, take the pus out, and cure it forever. So Prabhupada said, we are trying to do that. We're not trying to fan people's material desire, material struggle. And it will keep on going, going, going. And Prabhupada said, 50 years back, I came to Bombay. Those days it's to call Bombay, not what you call Mumbai now. The Bombay, I saw few homeless people on the rail station. And there is an organization trying to give charity to those. And after 50 years I came, the homeless number became multiple, hundreds and hundreds. And organization also increased. But what is benefiting? Yes, it is good app, apparently, but it is not solving the real issue. That's why poverty will keep on growing. People, anxiety and suffering in this world will keep on growing. Because we are not this body or mind. We are spirit, soul. At the essential, we are conscious being. We belong to Krishna. We have a relationship to Krishna. Once that relationship is revived, the soul is connected to Krishna, all his problem forever will disappear. Otherwise, just patching this temporary relief is binding one each other and it will never end. Just like in a practical example, I mentioned this before, the two girls came to our shop before I had a business, and they asked for money for Red Cross. And the reason was for tsunami affected people. Those days in New Orleans, there was a disaster. So I said, what are you going to do with the money? He said, we're going to buy a hot dog, and from helicopter, we'll drop the hot dogs to those poor and needy people. So I asked them that hot dog is made of what? Beef? So you killing a cow and you distributing this hot dog, you will suffer after this life, and you want me to go with you to suffer. Is that a good proposition? And one girl was like shocked. She said, what are you trying to say? I said, I'm trying to say this act, maybe you can do some kind of Hare Krishna prasadam, food distribution, not this hot dog distribution. Because hot dog does not solve anybody's problem. Even people who you're going to give, they eat, they are also going to suffer because they're all participating in violence of killing a cow. So this compassion is not a compassion. In the name of compassion, there is a suffering at the end. There is a great spiritual personality who was interviewed. I won't say the name because I respect him. And they asked that why are you eating this food? It's caused by violence. He says, well, I don't cook. Whatever people gives, I eat. You know, I'm a monk. But then he says, but you have to have some kind of judgment. What are you eating or no? These things are violence food, meat. But good thing was, Sripad Radhanath Maharaj was very kind. He brought him to temple and garlanded to Prabhupada by that great person. So that was great. Hopefully his real spiritual life will begin. So we are not condemning the material compassion. We are trying to replace the material compassion with spiritual, real compassion. Prabhupada also gives another story of a rich man's son got lost. And he is in foreign world. And he is struggling at the street corner for food. And if you meet him, what are you going to do? Prabhupada repeated that story a few times. You can give some money and he will eat, but his problem of food still remains. But his father is a billionaire. What will be the best help? Some or other, take that child back to his father. All the problem is solved. So similarly, we have to focus on this verse, that Mahaprabhu's daya, how it's manifested. First word in that verse, it says, Hela udonito khedaya. Khed. Khed means like, oh, I have a problem. Oh, this didn't happen. These are called khed, the word. Like a lamenting. In village, people do this. In the town, they do this everywhere. So Mahaprabhu exhibited this. It's interesting, one Gurukuli's son asked me a couple months back in Bhagavad Gita study course, he said, how it is mercy of God, Krishna, that he is creating this war and he is making all these 640 million people get killed. Is that a compassion? Is that an act of compassion? Can you explain, please? It's bothering me for years. So I said, only Krishna knows. You have to ask him, or you have to ask the acharyas. We can only understand what we understand. But in practical life, my youngest son, one time, he got a splinter. So, and he is crying because it was really hurting his toes. So I said, lie down here, I'm going to pull it out. While I was pulling it out, it's hurting him a lot because the splinter really went deep. So my oldest son was protesting. He said, oh, you're making him more cry. I said, well, choice is up to you all, up to us. Either I take the splinter out, then he will be free after a few days, maybe little hurting, little bit more, but after a few days, he'll be free. Or we can keep the splinter in his toes and he'll suffer whole life. So obviously they say, oh, that's not good, but it's hurting. Okay, let's take out the splinter. So I said, then tolerate. So we took the splinter out and that's got out. Similarly, all those 640 million people, their contamination with tamogun and rajogun is so deep that they do not want to respect the devotee, do not want to respect Krishna, who is actually visible in the middle of the battlefield. And Prabhupada gave a very nice explanation. He said, what is the need to dress so beautiful in the middle of the war? He's talking about Krishna. Krishna dressed so beautiful in the war field. Of course, he's always beautiful, but Yogamaya is manifesting. Why? Because as soon the soldier gets stopped by the Sudarshan Chakra, apparently the Pandava Sena is killing the Kauravas, but actually Sudarshan Chakra is behind everything. And proof is barbaric. He was on the top of the Hanuman flag on Arjuna's, and he was watching. When he was asked, did you see how many people I killed? Bhima asked, he's my grandson. Did you see? I'm your grandpa. Did you see me? How many people through the club I killed? Said, no. Say, you didn't see? Said, no, I saw Sudarshan Chakra killed. You only went like this in the club. But actually Sudarshan Chakra was chopping. So Baladev Vidyabhasan Thakur says, when Sudarshan Chakra was killing those soldiers, one by one, 640 million is a lot of people, the biggest war in the history of the world. Each soul had an opportunity to see Krishna as he is. How? Because Sudarshan Chakra does not dissolve only your physical body, it dissolves your subtle body. This is the key point. Death is not the solution. Purifying consciousness is the solution. Purifying consciousness is the solution, and contamination can be removed by chanting, by honoring prasadam, by association, by hearing Bhagavatam, Harikatha like this. That's how consciousness change. Right now we are listening, talking about Krishna, our consciousness changing. This is what's called spiritualization, spiritualizing, our consciousness spiritualizing. So when the consciousness was, contamination was dissolved by the Sudarshan Chakra, they, each of them had a access to see Krishna as he is. Those who saw Krishna did not appreciate, did not glorify him. They went out of Maya into Nirgun platform. Those who saw him appreciated his beauty. They went to Vaikuntha. Those who appreciated and glorified and expressed their love for him, they went to Golok Vrindavan. Something we can learn from it. This is up to individual us. We can appreciate, as Prabhupada said, we can appreciate even mundane people, a good quality, in order to bring them to Krishna consciousness. This is required. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first blessing was Khela Udonita Khedaya. This is one way Krishna, we see the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna delivered them just to be relieved from all suffering. So the soldier, they went to heaven and then went to Vaikuntha, they did not suffer forever. And their wives, what happened to their wives? You may think, by the Kunti Uttara, there was a big, the first canto, 10th chapter, you can read Bhagavatam, where the wives, they fell in love with Krishna, his quality and his characters, his beauty, his smile, and Krishna literally started reciprocating as he was leaving Hastinapur. And all those ladies fell in love and they became pure devotee, went back home, back to Godhead. This is Krishna's ultimate mercy on the battlefield. He delivered the man's and the women's, all at the same time. Haridas Thakur, we see, when he was in the prison, all the prisoners, they thought he is a great sadhu, so they asked him, can you bless us so we can be free? Haridas Thakur says, yes, I want you to have a real freedom, not this freedom from the prison. So I bless you, you stay in prison, this prison, so you don't have to work or hard struggle. Just sit down and chant with me whole day night. That way you are free materially, you don't have to work hard right now, and spiritually you will be transferred in spiritual world. But did everybody understand? No, they thought the great sadhu means they will release him, he will release them from the prison so they can do nonsense as soon as they get out. That's not real mercy. But Haridas Thakur did display that. The real mercy is chanting. Even if we lock down, we are in lockdown, good, take advantage of it. Actually this year, last year I mean, devotees are more Krishna conscious than before. In many cases we notice. They say because this lockdown made them to go inner world and literally be joyful, in other words. Another point in that verse is said, Vishodaya. Vishodaya means purifies everything when you think of Mahaprabhu. Example, some example you can see. Just like right now, we are discussing over the Zoom. Now these waves of this Sabda Taranga or Sabda Brahma, this chanting Krishna's name, Krishna's discussion, it is not limited by your capturing on recorded copy. It is actually in the ether, the room, the house I am speaking, the atmosphere here. Srila Prabhupada explained this to one group of devotees when they are chanting in the middle of nowhere. And they say, Prabhupada, how it is helping others? He said, you have no idea that when you talk about Krishna or glorify Krishna, these waves of the sound, it travels for miles and miles to the last realm of this universe. And as it travels, it purifies everywhere. Purifies means it spiritualized. It will not have a three modes of material nature. This is Mahaprabhu's mercy that we can discuss even in the pandemic. Actually, we are utilizing this Zoom and actually more people are aware through the internet and others than before. So it's all purifying. Of course, when we see even Swarup Damodar, who wrote this beautiful verse, he himself had a cat. Cat means he also lamented when Mahaprabhu left with sannyas. And he was so much lamenting that it says from Navadvip to Benares, if you know about geography, from Navadvip to Benares is about, if you go on feet, it will take 1 month. If you go running, I don't know if you can run 24 hours a day, probably, I'm not sure. You rest a little bit. Raghunath Das Goswami from Bengal to Puri, it took 12 days. He was running non-stop. He was so much in separation from Mahaprabhu. So even that, Swarup Damodar ran. What happened? Oh, he went to take sannyas and he didn't know where he's taking sannyas. He asked people where people take sannyas. He said, Benares. So he went to Benares out of this lamentation for Mahaprabhu. And he went there and the Brahmanas over there, they said, well, you have to sit down. We have to do all these purificatory rituals. First, you have to dissolve all your debts to your forefather. You have to shave off. You have to do the upavit. And so rituals, like it takes 3 days. And after a few hours, he said, it's taking too long. I'm missing Lord Chaitanya. I'm missing Lord Chaitanya. He said, wait, it is not proper. He said, no, I'm going. And then he left because he was lamenting. And finally, he arrived at Jagannath Puri. It's very funny. He wrote this verse because he was lamenting also. But that was spiritual lamentation. When he came and meeting Mahaprabhu, he lamented. Whereas there is a beautiful verse, he says, Muina Charil Amit, the translation goes that that I have left you, but you never left me. Some or other, I am as a conditioned soul, forgot you, but you never gave up my association. Some or other, you pull me out, and I appreciate deeply. And he started crying. Mahaprabhu raised him and he also embraced. So in his taking sannyas to meet Lord Chaitanya, he could not take because he was hurrying up and rushing. So they gave him a first brahmachari name. You have to go brahmachari, banaprastha, then sannyas, the whole rituals. So he gave a name, Swarup. So Mahaprabhu added Damodar. It's okay, now from now your name is Swarup Damodar. So like this, Swarup Damodar Goswami also saw his lamentation was mitigated by Mahaprabhu's darshan. This is another kind of compassion. This is a big compassion actually. Sometimes even rich people suffer. See, poor people suffer, you can see and you can go and help. When rich people suffer hidingly, you cannot see. That's very torture. He has everything materially, but inside his heart, he is lamenting and nobody can help. It's so depressing. But for Mahaprabhu, he was very kind. He even relief as soon anybody comes in contact with Krishna consciousness, whether rich or poor, is all this lamentation, no sochoti, no kangshati, and all hankering will disappear. This is for sure. Now, if somebody of those who are listening, someone may think, well, I'm spending over decades with Hare Krishna movement, maybe few decades, maybe 4 or 5 decades. How come I'm still like sometimes hankering and lamenting for material things? How come it's not going? So there is two things we have to consider. One thing is that when you chant, whatever the result supposed to happen is there. Just like we did Purushottam month, couple months back, couple months back. And we did also Kartik Brata, 2 months. So it says that you will be in spiritual world. Yes, we are eligible to be in spiritual world. But when? When your consciousness gets purified. So it is not that the result is not there of your activity. Your spiritual activity result is there, guarantee. Krishna consciousness is 100% working. But my perception has to be spiritualized. My consciousness, thinking, willing, feeling is not up to the result yet. That's why I'm not experiencing. That's why we have to repeat every day, chanting, hearing, chanting, hearing, hearing, chanting, hearing, chanting. Then consciousness will be purified. The third point in that verse it says, Pranomilad. Pranomilad, Amodaya. Pranomilad means awakening. Amodaya means blissful, joyful. Example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did in Jagannath Puri, in Vrindavan. And of course, by tricks, they brought him back because so many mystical things happening that Mahaprabhu would go under the water of Jamuna and would march there for hours and hours, and they would search, could not find. And they are scared. Mahaprabhu was exhibiting very strange. And there's a beautiful pastime where Mahaprabhu was sitting under a tree, and one Mathawala, his wife told him, you must do some spiritual activity. That's why our poverty is not going away. So he thought, okay, my wife is guiding me, I'm going to do it. How to do it? He said, offer the matha, buttermilk. Offer the matha and let the sadhu eat, and then it will give us good fortune. One day he was passing by the road and he saw this sannyasi. He had no clue that this is supreme absolute truth, Lord Chaitanya. So he offered some matha. Mahaprabhu says, no, I don't need. No, you have to drink. No, I don't need. No, my wife said I must do some spiritual activity to offer something to Hare Krishna people. So you are devotee, you must take. Mahaprabhu, after persistence, he said, okay, how much you want me to take? He said, take whatever you want, don't ask. This pot, clay pot is like this. So this Mathawala thought, if I stay a little far away, he will drink because I'm standing here, you probably don't drink, he will feel little. So Mathawala went a little far under a tree, he was sitting down and watching, maybe after some time, and he dozed off a little bit. He was tired. All of a sudden, he opened his eye. He saw that Mahaprabhu left. When he came nearby, he saw the pot, big pot of matha is empty. And he was like, serving sadhu, supposed to solve all my material problem. It's created another problem because every day I sell the matha to buy the groceries and food for my family. And today, by serving sadhu, no food. So he went depressed more, but he did not see the spiritual value of it. So then he was lamenting what he's going to tell his wife and children. Today there is no food, no lunch or dinner. As he was going nearby his house, his wife saw him and said, "Oh, you are so early today, very nice, happy." He put the pot, he went in his room, he locked the room, he said, "I'm not feeling well, let me just rest a little bit." Because he didn't want to explain what happened. And his wife went completely plastic. Why? Because there is in the pot, she saw something was very mystical, miracle. She was very genius, smart, Mataji. She took few pieces and hide this pot somewhere. Nobody see it. She took the children, said, "Come with me." She went to Mathura to a big rich jeweler. "Son, what is this?" And they see. Say, "Wow, how many you have?" He said, "She's smart." She said, "Not just this one." Actually, the pot was filled with this. He said, "This is so valuable. This is more than my entire shop assets." He said, "Really?" So give me some money. He said, no, I don't have that much money. He said, "Give whatever you have. You can have this." He said, "You sure?" He said, "Yes." So she took so many kori. Those days, kori is the currency. So many koris. And that kori was enough to feed the whole family for a year. And she's thinking the amount of jam that in that pot came, it will not be able to finish by her entire life. So she came back. Of course, she didn't tell the children anything. And she came with the big groceries and everything. Still, the husband is locked in his room. She knocked the door, and he would not open. He said, "No, I'm not feeling well," because he didn't want to say that they're hungry. He said, "No, come out. Where did you go? You are the best husband." And finally, he opened the door. She paid obeisances. She's thinking she never paid obeisances like this. She's so happy, jolly. And she said, and he was surprised, big grocery and all this. Anyway, the point was that Mahaprabhu in exchange gave them a material wealth. But when this man realized, he was regretting. Said, "Oh my God, I did a big offense. I was accusing him. But actually he did a biggest favor." But now he told his wife, "I have to go and find this sadhu where he is." While he is going, he was crying and crying and crying and remembering Mahaprabhu's form. As he is thinking of Mahaprabhu's form, and he was crying and crying and crying, all of a sudden love for Mahaprabhu arise. He said, "You have done so much for me and for my family. How can I ever pay you back? And I was holding bad grudge against you that you drank the whole pot. Now I hope I want to pay back to you. Please, where are you?" And he was looking whole day, whole forest, could not find. Whole life, this man was crying for Mahaprabhu. Made the family cry for Mahaprabhu. Made the villager cry for Mahaprabhu. This way delivered. So this is Mahaprabhu did. The ultimate solution while solving material things also. Another point also in that verse, it says, Shammak Shastra Vivadaya. There is a dispute amongst Hindu, Christian, Muslim, this, that, so many religion. But Srila Prabhupada explains this, that these are not religion, these are different faith. Religion is only one, Nitya Dharma is only one. It cannot be changed because the real religion is the inherent nature of the substance. The soul's eternal function is its religion. Or the soul's eternal function is his Nitya Dharma, that is bhakti. It is not possible you can change. But faith can be changed. Sattiki adhyatmiki shraddha karma shraddha surajasa tamasi adharme shraddha mat shraddha sunirguna. Krishna says there are 4 types of faith. So obviously there is so many faith. If somebody says they don't believe in anything, that is also their faith. Faith is also eternal. Faith can be changed, but eternal function cannot be changed. Eternal function is called eternal dharma, religion, cannot be changed. And a great example, Prakash Ananda Saraswati. Example, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Example, Pathan Muslim. Pathan Muslim, they had their own argument about Quran, and Mahaprabhu removed their doubts. Then they became devotee. His name is Ram Das. In Chaitanya Charitamrita gives a beautiful, this Pathan Muslims, many examples of different religion. When the Shaivaite challenged Mahaprabhu that Shiva is Supreme Lord, why you are saying Krishna is Supreme Lord? Then Mahaprabhu said a very simple thing. Shiva holds what substance on his head? They say Ganges. Ganges coming from where? Oh, lotus feet of Vishnu. So you figure it out. Who is God? Who is holding whose lotus feet? So very simple way Mahaprabhu established the supremacy of Krishna. Supremacy of Krishna to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, to the Buddhist, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Buddhist guru even died, then revived by the Mahamantra. So Mahaprabhu was actually mitigating all the discrepancy or disagreement amongst each other or each religion, and he solved and gave Krishna consciousness. Not only solved, he gave Krishna consciousness to him. So if you keep on going the list, there is 8 types of daya in that verse is mentioned. I only covered half, not covered, just little touch. Then there is a Rasadaya, Chitta Arpita Unmadaya. You can think about this Mahaprabhu, how he delivered the Dobiwala, tax collector, Venkat Bhattas, many examples because of our time. I'm going to end here with this conclusion that this compassionate mood, when bhakti arises in somebody's heart, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, few things bound to happen. Bhakti is completely independent. Bhakti is the personification of beauty. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, I remember. And Bhakti Devi is the supreme ornament. She does not depend on others' good quality. So humility, compassion are not separate qualities, but are included within bhakti. We don't need to separately practice to develop daya, compassion, kripa to others. When you have I'm a servant of Krishna, I'm a destitute, I have nothing, Krishna is all in all, bhakti, that is expressed in those attitude is itself, that is the real humility. That my identity is I'm a servant of Krishna's servant. That is the real humility. And at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, the tenderness of heart experience towards Krishna is known as bhakti. And all other jivas are servant of Krishna. So tenderness of heart towards them is the compassion or daya. Is a natural product. Automatically it will rise. Just like we say Prabhupada was so merciful. Yes, Prabhupada was so merciful. Is it that Prabhupada is trying to be merciful or bhakti within his heart making him merciful? That question comes. It is bhakti in his heart manifesting through him. So it looks like he is merciful. And you all know that I'll end with this little few minutes story of Prabhupada's when he arrived, how merciful he was. That when he came to New York, Lower East Side, he did Very simple thing. What did he do? He sat under a tree with a drum. You all know. He just began to chant. So the process that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give is very simple. And now I remember actually the wonderful way that they documented the hippies newspaper. I think I still have the copy of it. How they documented Srila Prabhupada's first few months. So you can read this wonderful article in the East Village Adder, a hippie newspaper. I remember that. They documented Srila Prabhupada and how he came to the Lower East Side. In the article, the journalist writes, one old man, 1 year passed, he allotted 70, wandered into New York's East Village, set about to prove to the world that he knew where God could be found. In only 3 months, the man A.C. Bhaktivedanta succeeded in convincing the world's toughest audience. Who are they? Bohemians, hotheads, acid heads, and hippies. That he knew the way to God. Turn off, sing out, fall in. He got it right. That was Prabhupada's program. Turn off, sing out, and fall in. That was it. Then in the article it goes on. I remember, what's his name, Sasur Maharaj. He put it in Lilamrita. This brand of holy man was brought a new form of consciousness expansion that is sweeter than acid, cheaper than pot, non-bustable by fuzz. How is it all possible? The Swami says, through Krishna. Then they took the article to Prabhupada, I was told, and Prabhupada read the article and he began laughing. And he said, this man has explained nicely in his own way. So this was Prabhupada's extreme mercy to the most disturbed, most toughest audience at that time in America, where we are today. We think this is toughest. No, it was tougher always. And just to reflect, I'm ending here, reflect, yesterday Bir Krishna Maharaj was saying that he was trying to contact Mr. Trump and some other leaders to adopt this chanting Hare Krishna, how it will be benefit and change the consciousness. Do they respond? Not really. He says he was not, because they think they're very busy, big people, big men. But if they really pay attention to Krishna, he's the biggest of all biggest people in this world. He has unlimited universes, unlimited incarnation, unlimited manifestation. He's handling, maintaining, creating, annihilating, doing everything. Yet, he has a full time with Aritra Prabhu in Orlando if he wants to communicate with Krishna. He has a full reciprocation with Rasavigraha Prabhu in Orlando. And anytime, no question of whether he's busy or not busy. Why? Because that is the real love, that is real compassion of Krishna. Nobody can get like that. Krishna really cares for us. He really loves each of us, and he wants us to go back where we don't have to work. We don't have to do anything, just enjoy life with him in loving way. That's all. Everything is automatically there. And with time, we will be overcome by great devastation and deterioration, COVID-19, death, all kinds of things coming. The world is deteriorating at very rapid pace. Honestly, I see that. I'm getting old also. Those who do not cultivate spiritual technology will become casualties on this planet and will have to be recycled. Prabhus and mothers, please listen to this. Don't want to go for recycling again. Now we have the chance to get our lives together. This opportunity is a luxury It is not to be available for very long. Already based on your consciousness, the demigods are arranging your near future. Now you still have the ability to make a serious progress in this particular lifetime. So please, I beg, do not put off your chance to work on certain bad habits or later, because you will not have time for that. Do not put off living higher principles because you feel the circumstances are not sufficient right now. From practical point, in my counsel indifference devotee here, there I see. If you are blessed with higher knowledge and you do not use it, it means you are self-centered and unappreciative. Refusing to apply God's blessings, Krishna's blessing, Lord Chaitanya's blessing in your own life and neglecting to assist others, you are considered a saboteur of higher consciousness. I'm serious. Thank you again to Prabhus and mothers for engaging me. This is your kindness, and this encouragement and kindness is the stick of mercy I am holding. I will end here. If there is any comment, reflection, or further discussion.
Hey Krishna Prabhu, thank you for such a wonderful topic covered with so many examples that can our small brain can understand. You gave very simple examples that we can really pick up. So anyone on the call, if you have a question or a comment, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Pran Govinda Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for that very enlightening clarification on this the nature of bhakti, or the compassionate. That compassion is not just a byproduct, but it's also a component of bhakti. This is one thing that a lot of us will struggle to convey, because we have, like, I have friends, and sometimes I would talk to them about Krishna consciousness, or just try to distribute a book, give them a book, and they and some of them have this question. Some of them are very influential, they're rich, they have got it all together. So, and they do a lot of things in terms of also charity, in terms of contributing to society, um, on a material level, we would say. And they ask this question that, okay, you are distributing book, I understand that this book has as you say, transcendental knowledge, but how is it, it doesn't seem like it's talking about a war that happened thousands of years ago, and of course that may have been under the supervision of the Lord, and Arjuna was an instrument. Okay, fine, but how is it practically applicable? Like, we want to do something that's practical. Who knows if these things really happened? Okay, even if that happened, how can the world today really benefit by what you say, transcendental knowledge? And it's a long shot when you try to explain to them that knowledge ultimately will lead to action. And if you, like, I try to explain them, it's about the basis of decision making. It's not about the decisions that you make, but on what basis you make the decision. But I find it very hard to convey. Like, they are all so much about, they want to do good. It's not like they are very selfish people, on a purely material platform. They're totally concerned about themselves, but they want to see, like, okay, we give jobs to people that way, or we give education that will, that way they will be able to do something in life. They will be able to take care of their families. And we say that, yes, that's on a material level, but it's always very hard to explain. But with your examples and the way you are connecting the compassionate nature of bhakti, like how one automatically from within is able to help others connect to their source. That thing, it's sometimes hard to explain, but I think what you said, we can apply that and be able to convince them. But that's one challenge I had. That's why I asked you about this, about to speak about this topic.
Thank you. This is very true. What you are facing is very true. You know, it's very funny. There is a one Indian diamond dealer actually asked that question, I think a couple years back over email. He says, why can't we do feeding the poor people? Is there anything wrong? I said, no, nothing wrong, but you have to be aware what is the consequence of doing that. If you feed 1,000 people with your money, you have to get reaction of that. Reaction is that you have to come back as a poor and people will feed you 1,000 times. So you are now at least got your reward. Now, would you like to come back as a poor and get this 1,000 meal? So what do you mean? I said, just like anything you do in this world, every action has the same and opposite reaction. Everybody knows this. If I cut my finger, it hurts, then why should I cut others' finger? That's the good logic, because it hurts. So that means I should understand. So similarly, everything we do, that if it is for my pleasure, I have to be responsible to take the result of that action. Now, if I feed 1,000 plate of prasadam to others, the souls will get purified, Krishna will be happy, and my credit that Krishna will be affectionate to me, my journey is easier, faster. Now, if I only do material compassion, I have to get the result of it, just like Kate Station Park, one big park. I used to go also there with my children, I remember. And this lady, she donated this. So there was a Briguma, one big astrologer, Mataji from Punjab, Hoshiarpur. She was visiting our place. And so I asked her, I said, there's a lady, she did a wonderful things. This park she donated. She said, yes, next life she has to come back as a maid servant of somebody. And I could not figure it out why she said that, because she just read an article, a maid servant from Argentina who was serving a lawyer. And one day she called the lawyer. She said, I'm not coming. I'm not no more working as a maid servant. So he said, why? He said, because I got $76 million in Super Lotto. He said, what? He said, yeah, I got the number, match. Now I got $76 million. The lawyer had a heart attack almost. So it came in the newspaper, you know. He could not even make few million. And this lady does the, you know, maid servant work, and she got 76. How is this working? It's disturbed the man so badly that he had a heart attack and died. Finished. So I asked this Briguma. Briguma said, just like this park, you gave me the example. She donated. Now, how many millions people coming? Millions and millions coming to this park. Imagine if you charge 50 cents or quarter for every entrance, how much $1 million will pile up. So she will come back again to get this. Without Krishna consciousness, no charity really gives any good feedback, because you have to get the reaction of it. So in Krishna consciousness, when we do things, it's for the pleasure of Guru Krishna. Those we are doing favor, they get benefit spiritually, we get spiritual credit, everybody is benefited and Krishna is happy. But materially, if you really think very deeply, this karma, it is not a good activities at all. Even if you, at the name of you helping others, you educating them, but if that soul being educated, got money and grow up, now he does all these nonsense and sinful activities, he eats fish, just like this man did in Bangladesh. He helped so much. One friend told me that he helped education and all these people, now they have a big fishery farm and this, that. I said, so every fish they eat, they have to go and become a fish to suffer. Is that really help? Just because I see immediate effect, but what about the ultimate effect? That soul has to become a fish. Is that really result of the education? Is that the real benefit of the education? Now, of course, Arita Prabhu, that not necessarily everybody will understand this karma philosophy, because they are blinded by immediate result, so they cannot even see. But those who are eye-opening, they can see. Actually, even modern help is not a help. Ultimately, it is a disaster. Krishna consciousness, we are not fanatic. It's a scientifically we are proving, because we are not looking for result of our life. We are giving the result of our life to Guru Krishna. So our life under guidance of them, they are responsible. Even in America, you know, if you go to the battle, and you heard that example many times, that you kill some enemy on behalf of America, you get gold medal or whatever, some medal you get. You kill the enemy. But in your neighborhood, when there is no authority, you are on your own, you kill one person, you will be in jail for life. So karma and devotion is two different. Devotion means we are under guidance. We are not responsible even if something bad happened. Krishna will forgive us, and Prabhupada is responsible. He will forgive us. But on our own, it's only danger. That's all I can say.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the class. I had a question, and the question was, sometimes we give prasadam to our neighbors or friends and who are not Krishna conscious. And I can give you an example. I have a neighbor. I prepared some prasadam and I gave it to her over the New Year holidays. And she told me, oh, well, oh, so this is so nice. Thank you. I will have it with coffee or tea. Now, it just got me thinking, is there a value to prasadam when it's taken with something that is not, which is against our regulative principles?
Very nice question, Mata. Thank you. If you remember the pastimes of Prabhupada, I won't say the name because they are very nice people. They helped Prabhupada. At least Prabhupada didn't have any place to stay, so he was staying there in their house in the beginning. And in the refrigerator, there was a big meat. And Prabhupada had to put his hand over the meat to grab the spice and other things. And after 3 days, finally, the lady of the house, she said, oh, you don't eat meat. Prabhupada said, no. Because God doesn't like? No, Krishna doesn't like. And so do you want me to throw it? Prabhupada said, if you want, whatever you want. See, Prabhupada did not say, oh, throw this trash. No, Prabhupada was very gentle. And the way Prabhupada was acting made her devotee. Prabhupada said, this is Krishna's grace, they became devotee. So from that angle, you are doing your best. How they take it, Krishna within their heart will reciprocate. But your eternal benefiting, allowing them to enter into eternal service to God by honoring prasadam is the best thing you could do. Is the beginning of their spiritual journey. I mean, literally, this is nothing. If you really think, many examples of Golden Gate Park Ratha Jatra, where many things happen. But I give you one example that one Maharaj was asking Prabhupada that some people are criticizing the form of the Lord. What kind of form is God? He doesn't have a, Jagannath doesn't have a proper leg or hand. They're like laughing and joking about it. So they're committing offense, Prabhupada. It's better that they didn't come to see the Ratha Jatra. If we don't do Ratha Jatra, they didn't come, then it is better. At least they will not commit offense. Prabhupada said, did they come to see the parade festival? And they say, yes. Then their spiritual journey began. Because they came to see the Lord. They joined and they chanted, they walked with us all the way to the road to the Golden Gate Park. So their spiritual life began. But they have some doubt or some kind of maybe not proper way they could ask instead of guessing on their own. For that, maybe they need to take little detour. I don't know what is that means, Prabhupada said detour. But nonetheless, Prabhupada said their spiritual life began. That is the best thing you could do. So many examples like that we can see. You did your best. You made their eternal life begin. Krishna is happy with you. Nityananda Prabhu, one song he says, Dastari loiva ami punna habe kam. That any act anybody did to ignite the eternal function of the soul. Nityananda Prabhu says, I personally note at the moment of death, Mother Kishori Priya will witness that Nityananda Prabhu is there. So it is glorious. Thank you for doing such a wonderful.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. If I may ask you a question, Pran Govinda Das. I wanted to ask you a question regarding the example that you mentioned when the husband went out and he met Mahaprabhu and he offered, but he didn't realize. So he was very sad when he came back and he went to his room. So he didn't realize the blessings himself. It was his wife. So my question to you is that sometimes we try and we do things and perhaps internally it might seem very mechanic. Could it be possible for us to go through this life without realizing the blessings of Krishna, or for others to just realize that when do we know that Krishna consciousness that we talk, when do we understand it and be part of that?
Very thoughtful question, Prabhu. Thank you. This is actually a real topics we need to discuss more and more, that whatever the process assure, the result is guaranteed. We should have a strong faith on that. Just like I gave an example, it says if you perform 1 month Kartik Brata, every day you wake up before Brahma Muhurta, and Prabhupada said you do these 5 things. You wake up, you take bath, you cook something to offer the Lord, you chant, and you read. These 5 things he said. He didn't say 5 things, but in the lecture I picked up as a 5 things. He said, then you will be free from Maya. So free from Maya is already there because we did these 5 things. Now question come, how come I'm not experiencing this? Somebody may say, I'm still see the Maya's influence. So the result is already there. But for me to connect, it's require my conscious evolution. For an example, say, Prabhu, you are homeless. I am homeless. We have so many homeless in this town, Florida. And we never know what is banking. We never know what is check. So we are homeless. We are barely making $20, $30 a day just to survive. And in cold, we cannot survive. It's so cold, no heater. Somehow they're surviving. One billionaire comes, multi-billionaire, and he writes $1 billion check to you, $1 billion check to me. Now, we went to sleep and we wake up, say, what is this? Somebody left $1 billion check. But I'm hungry. What is this $1 billion check going to do? It's useless to me. I throw it. Now he's a multi-billionaire. He really gave, Bill Gates gave $1 billion check. And it is good. But I am hungry at this moment. I don't care. I don't know the value. I don't know the bank system, how I have to go to bank, open a bank account. I have to deposit the check. I'm not aware of it. I'm only focusing on my hungerness. And I throw this check far away. That doesn't mean the person who gave the check, it is lost, but my access is not there. I need to be educated. Means my consciousness has to purify. This question was raised that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered this world. How come Columbus was in the West at that time. Did he deliver also them? Then the answer was given that if you are in a sleep or a deep sleep or in a dream, 3 stages, 3 modes of the material nature causes 3 stages. Deep sleep means they are not even aware that they are servant of God. There are a lot of philosophy like this in this world. I won't mention the name particularly. There's a one religion, that's all they focus. That they are spiritual, they're meditating, they believe in reincarnation. But at the end, what happened when mental system dissolve? Nothing remained. That means they are in deep sleep. They're not even aware that they are conscious living being. They have a relationship with God. There is a God in their philosophy, in their religion, and they are one of the biggest religion in the world. They do not even aware of it, neither they want to believe. So they are in deep sleep. Then there are some people who are in a passion or dreaming world, dream world. They dream, I'm going to enjoy more, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do that. They're like busy in life. They go to church or temple just to get more advantage that they cannot get easily on their own. They will engage God to supply it. They are in a dream. So in order to receive Mahaprabhu's gift or that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift, they have to come out of sleep, come out of dream, come out of deep sleep. They have to be real awakened. That is, consciousness has to change. Then they will appreciate. Yes.
Thank you.
I hope that answers.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Any other reflection or we end?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. On Facebook, by name Krishna Vallabha Dasi, she posted the Bhagavad Gita 17.20 for this context. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place and to a worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. I'm just reading the
Yes. Yes. Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Pran Govinda, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Daipayan Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances.
My humble obeisances, all glories to Prabhupada. Thank you so
All
much
glories
for
to
coming
Prabhupada. Thank you
over
for
here to all of us and giving a wonderful time.
Thank you for giving me opportunity to serve.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much, and definitely we'd like to have you come over more because everyone is enjoying your the way you deliver your classes, so we all understand better. I had a question also in my mind to on the line of the topic that when we start to practice bhakti, supposedly we're supposed to become compassionate, but sometimes the practices we perform doesn't seem to fructify in terms of the bhav doesn't come in my heart when I think I should be getting. The rounds that I'm trying to chant is not happening in terms of more. I'm not feeling more deep connection right now. I'm just like chanting because I'm chanting. I'm getting my my rounds done. So this kind of things, rather I would say, becomes more anxious. Makes me I was speaking for myself, makes me more anxiety that I'm trying to focus on my sadhana and my practices, but I don't feel anything happening on me yet. Of course, the general understanding is that nothing happens overnight. That's true. But some kind of because becoming compassionate is, I think it's a very big achievement to get for one person. That's like the becoming humble right away. It's very difficult to become on that level. So, but most of the time we get the opposite, which is anxiety and anxiousness that I'm doing my sadhana and everything properly, but my other family members could be suffering for some reason. So something I'm doing wrong or what's going on like that. So these thoughts comes in our mind and that makes us anxious in certain times. So I want to just see what would you like to say on that. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very interesting question. I think it's in the mind of many devotees, not just you, but you just speaking on behalf of all of them, because here also some people, sometimes devotee things like that. See, we have to be very aware that position of Krishna and position of each individual soul. We have an eternal relationship, but relationship, I'm going to ask you a question. You heard about that example Prabhupada said in a morning walk, that you cannot put a gun on the forehead of a girl and you say,
Yes, I love
you
you.
love me or I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Now, what is the decision on that? Why it is wrong? Is it right or wrong?
It's wrong.
Why?
Because it's forceful and out of fear.
So what does that means? Means love is free choice.
Free choice, yes.
She has a right to choose whether to love him or not. It should not be under the gun. Correct. Very good.
Correct.
So similarly, Krishna can help us, whatever help we want him to do. But Krishna will never make decision for us. I really want everybody to remember this. Jata ichhasi tatha kuru, Krishna told to Arjuna after speaking the whole Bhagavad Gita. He says, now I have revealed. You do whatever you like to do. If Arjuna say, I don't want to fight, that is his choice. No, I'll fight. That's his choice. Now, what is the problem on both? Both are actually false ego. I can fight or I don't want to fight. But when Arjuna says, the last verse, Arjuna says, 1873, Nashto maha smriti labda tat prasadad maya achyuta. Stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Krishna, I understood who you are, who am I, what is my position. My doubt has gone, memory has come back. We have our eternal relationship. I will do as you want me to do. My life is only to fulfill your desire. This is called selfless sacrifice. Then Krishna told Arjuna, okay, then fight on behalf of me. Tasma sarvesu kalesu mam anusmara juddhacha. Mayarpita manobuddhi mamevasya sasamsaya. That you fight. Jitta satru bhangse. You see enemy and you kill the enemy, but don't hold enmity. This is the key point. Nirvair sarva bhutesu. Within 11th chapter, within few sloka, Krishna is, it seems like Krishna is speaking two different language. He said, kill your enemy. Jitta satru. Satru means enemy. Jitra means conquer. How are you going to kill an enemy if you don't recognize the enemy? You have to recognize the enemy and then you have to kill him. Then it's called Jitta Satru. This is following Krishna's order. Then again he says, Nirvair, Nirvair. But no enmity feeling. Means I am doing as a service to please the Lord, not for me. This is the key point. Then possible. When we are doing, we are expecting our own feeling result. Then it will be delayed. It will be delayed. We rather should be happy. Is Krishna, Prabhupada is happy what I did. There has to be purpose, of course. But if the purpose is to please Krishna, God, then automatically there's satisfaction will come. But when we are looking for my own interest, doubt comes. Gata sandeha. Sandeha means doubt. But Arjuna says at the surrender, sandeha is gone. Doubt is gone. So long we are doubting, there is actually, Krishna knows that. That's why that verse is given. There's a beautiful verse. It says, Siddhir bhavati ba naiti sangsaya achyuta sevinam nisangsayastu tad bhakta paricharja ratatmana. Siddhir bhavati ba naiti. Am I getting success in my life? Siddhi. Siddhi means perfection. Am I getting success in my life? Ba naiti or not? Samsaya. Doubt is coming. Achyuta sevinam in our devotional process. Nisangsayastu. But if you want to become completely free of doubt, what you should do? You should offer whether it's good or bad for his pleasure, and you see that he is pleased. That's all it matters. Then, under guidance of devotee or Prabhupada, then this doubt will disappear. Otherwise, this doubt will stay.
Yes, Prabhu. So it's the self-interest that is conflicting rather than following the instructions.
Correct.
Gita, Guru Agyamani. I remember this. I remember the shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vipra kahe murkhami, shabda artha na jani, shuddha ashuddha Gita padi, Guru Agyamani. So don't really figure out what you're doing, but following the instructions.
Very good. You know that in that past times, did anybody understood that he is actually advanced devotee? No.
No, from outside, no. Externally, no.
So if we want everybody else to understand that I am advancing, that is a wrong way of looking.
Jai. Nice, Prabhu.
But
Thank you.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recognized, and he said, you understood the essence of Gita.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I do have a question. Chaitanya Das.
Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats Pranam. Prabhu, I have a question regarding, I think it relates to the questions that were asked already regarding compassion, being compassionate as a devotee, right? For example, and I'm going to use this as an example. I saw a video online with, I'm actually looking at it right now. It says, Hare Krishna loves cows, but is addicted to dairy. And in this video, it's a vegan activist talking to a Hare Krishna devotee, the whole discussion about milk and dairy, how now the milk industry. And you see the devotee is engaging with him in this very material platform that, oh, I can't give up because of this, because of that, right? Justifying his consumption of milk. There's no talk of prasadam, of offering it to Krishna, right? The benefit. And you see also in the comments, some devotees justifying from that perspective. Oh, no, some Hare Krishnas are vegan. I'm just saying. It's like, yes, you know, I'm a Hare Krishna and I'm also vegan, and I got a lot of criticism from my god brothers in India. Actually, there's no worship of cows. From my perspective, and that's why I want some clarification from you. It's a very material discussion, right? So I feel like that needs to be what needs to be interject in the conversation from a spiritual perspective is that actually that prasadam and the milk that is being used, right, that it comes from the dairy industry, but is being used to make that prasadam and offer to the Lord, is actually benefiting the entire chain of distribution of that milk, including the cow that it came from. But that conversation in this video and other platforms that I've seen, it never goes to that point. Then my second point is that even if I were, not me because I'm not qualified, but if one were qualified to jump in that conversation and try to present to them that they're having that conversation from a bodily perception, conception of life. If they understand that actually that is the Hare Krishna devotees are being the most merciful to the cows by using this product and cooking prasadam and offering to the Supreme Lord, so everybody can benefit. Then I feel that from that perspective, they won't accept, because then I'm actually, not me, but again, the devotee that is qualified is actually giving them anxiety, because they won't accept that. They don't see from that perspective. And why I'm saying that, I saw a lecture with Guru Govinda Swami Maharaj where he talks about, I think it was about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where Bhakti Siddhanta on his disappearance pastime, he actually asked for forgiveness because he gave, I don't remember the verse, but I remember the word, I think it's udvega. He gave anxiety to a lot of people. And one should not give anxiety to others. But he said he is guru, so he must do. So I'm just saying, like, that my question relates to, as devotees, when seeing a conversation like this, you feel compelled to interject and speak from a spiritual perspective. At least in my short experience, vegans, they don't understand it. You actually disturb them because they don't see from a spiritual side. They don't accept the fact that prasadam and that process is actually benefiting everybody eternally. They see the very, and then it's sad to see devotees getting engaged in that conversation, trying to justify, oh, I'm a Hare Krishna, but I'm vegan as well. Therefore, I'm trying, I'm compassionate. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So the question is, what is the proper approach from someone like me that, you know, that is not qualified, but is brought into the conversation? I feel like I have to have faith in prasadam. Like you have to have faith that is like, it's purifying. Does that make sense of my question? I know I talk too much,
Yes,
but it's
yes,
kind of like,
yes.
because
You
it's
are very-
discouraging to see devotees that is getting in this material conversation that, oh, I should give up this or give up that. It's like, no. This is prasadam. Prasadam is transcendental. They're actually, the cows are actually benefiting from it. Anyways, thank you,
See,
Prabhuji.
we can see how the advanced devotee, Srila Prabhupada, deals in his own life.
Oh, I have the video. Sorry.
So then one time when devotee were asked to bring some milk, and the devotee says, Prabhupada, this container has written D, vitamin D. Prabhupada said, but this is milk, right? He said, yes, they mix with vitamin D, and maybe the source of the D is not a good source. Prabhupada said, Krishna likes milk. We want to offer milk to Krishna. Just whatever milk is available, just offer it. We are interested to please Krishna. So whatever facility we have to utilize. There are a few things in this conversation, but my way of thinking that what will be the best benefit for everybody is by bringing Krishna in the discussion. Without Krishna in the discussion, and Krishna also, you know that famous verse in 17 chapters, text 15, Krishna says how to converse with others, how to communicate. He says, Anudbegna karam vaikam sattam priyam hitam chaja. I love that verse because it gives a guidelines that there are 5 things when we converse with others. First is Prabhupada translate that austerity. Austerity means you have to, talking to someone is austerity. What is austerity? For the pleasure of Krishna. Then this consists in speaking words that are truthful, sattam. Priyam. Priyam means it has to be pleasing. Hitam means it has to benefit. If our discussion is not benefiting, it is not pleasing, and it's not agitating. These 5 things combine a communication skill. Krishna gave in Bhagavad Gita 17.15. You can look. And Krishna gives a very nice explanation. So in our discussion, we can understand it is not actually whether we should try to convince others that we are right. In a war of ego, the winner is also biggest loser. So our preaching technique should not be that we want to win, or if we can dominate, we are trying to be superior, we are better than others. This is not a motive of preaching. Our motive of preaching, intention we have to place Krishna, to bring Krishna in our life, anybody we meet. How we can bring Krishna? Not by imposing on them, but by appreciating that what they do. Everybody has a good quality. Prabhupada told this Shamsundar Prabhu, that a good preacher means he finds one good quality in every human being. In Bombay, he told him. He said, do not see. You can see every human being has some good quality. And you try to fan that. It is necessary. So if we see a vegan just like here, you know, it's a very funny thing. I'll give you a story of Brahmatirtha Prabhu. You probably know him. He's in Gainesville, Prabhupada's disciple. When Brahmatirtha Prabhu was in India, I think it's Asansol or Durgapur, a station, he went for Peace Corps. So anyway, he came to see Prabhupada in Mayapur or Calcutta, I forgot. So he told me this story personally. And they introduced him. Prabhupada, he is vegan. He is a vegetarian. And vegan was not known that time. He said he's vegetarian and he does not eat meat, fish. So he thought, he's American, you know, he's not a devotee or anything. He's just a Peace Corps. He was transported there. So he thought Prabhupada will be like happy. Prabhupada said, well, that's very nice. So many monkeys are also vegetarian. And Brahmatirtha Prabhu said, when Prabhupada said so many monkeys are also vegetarian, he felt like, oh my God, there's no value of becoming vegetarian. I thought he's going to appreciate so much. Prabhupada said, so many monkeys. And then he says, but monkeys may not be able to understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And you can be able to. So it's not important that you're vegetarian or not vegetarian. It's important that how much you have interest to understand Krishna consciousness. And to make people to hear Krishna, we have to allow, engage or intervene what attraction, inclination they have. If we can fan that. If somebody is a vegan, they say, very good. You don't like violence, wonderful. This is a good quality because you are a gentle heart. Then he will appreciate. Then you can say that how Krishna actually, to bring the peace in the world, he created a wonderful society called Krishna consciousness. You can introduce like that. Then he will be interested to come. Just by defeating their philosophy, that's not our purpose. Neither we should be interested.
Yes.
That's a shorter version. That our goal is to bring Krishna in our life, in everybody's life. How we bring it, that depends on each preacher's skill. We need three things: knowledge, to do, and to be. So to know, knowledge is required. But to do means we have to apply. We have to know it and we apply. And then we'll get realized, we'll be. Then the compassion or this argument will not be even there. But I remember also when we wanted to, you know, one Mayavadi, simple Mayavadi, I wanted to win over him that he's wrong. And one sannyasi, he taught me many years back, 30 years back, he said, this is not our preaching style. Even they're wrong, if you tell them they're wrong, they will go far away from you. One thing we should always remember, every preacher must remember, the style of speaking Krishna used to Arjuna. If you ever accuse somebody, you block their hearing perception. You are no good. By the time you finish it, he blocked. That's it. He's only thinking, he or she thinking, he doesn't like me, he's accusing me. That all the good stuff you're saying is not going through. So Krishna is the best speaker. In Bhagavad Gita, first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, did Krishna speak much? No. He only heard. He only heard. Even vegans are wrong or right, that's not the point. Let's hear what they have to say. Let them say. Krishna knows the best, but why Krishna allowed the whole first chapter is nothing but Arjuna speaking? Because he went in tormented. When the vegan is there, he has his view. Let him speak. Let him finish his speaking. Why he believes things he believes. Why he's doing things he's doing. Then you can find a point where he can be nurtured little more and he will touch with Krishna. Then it's success.
Understood. I just think that there's a dangerous just a qualified preacher such as yourself, it's easy to engage in that conversation. I just think that there's a dangers in yes, I have to hear it, but if I'm not prepared to engage in that conversation, I'm actually, yes, agreeing to what they're saying and finding fault in my own practice. Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, I don't. We're not. Because that is what you see in this video. That's what you see in this conversation, and that's what you see in the comments. People finding fault in the Hare Krishna practice, and that's what I feel. And I agree with everything you're saying. It's just my question is related to that because yes, but if you want choose to engage in that conversation, absolutely come from that perspective. Bring Krishna in the conversation. That is exactly my point. That is unfortunate to see that people are not doing that and try to get into that material conversation platform. Oh, I'm Hare Krishna, but I'm also vegan. Oh, yes, I'm trying to make more Hare Krishnas, more of my God brothers vegans. That kind of thing that I think is very dangerous and borderline, offensive to prasadam, if they ask you, because prasadam is transcendental. The Supreme Lord have said, at least that's my understanding of it. So it's just, anyways, you answered the question. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Can I request you something, or Chaitanya Prabhu? Maybe you can pray to your spiritual master and Prabhupada for them, for that devotee. Then within his heart, Krishna will ignite fire so he can advance further. That's all we can do. We can pray for those devotees also. Something we should do. Spiritual life, progress means two things. We should always remember. Progress means every day two things. Selection, elimination. Selection, elimination. New idea, new realization has to come every day. So today we are praying for those devotees. All together right now we can pray. So those discussions, those people can come to Krishna closer. By our prayers, we are praying simple-hearted, loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving a detailed explanation and staying very long. I'm sure we interrupted your lunch time. So looking forward to see you again whenever you can and engage us to practice more bhakti.
Thank you. You please all pray for me and bless me so I can progress also by you all prayers and blessings. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpataruvesya kripa sindhupayeva cha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.